I wanted to give a quick defense of creationism because it's a hot topic on YouTube, and the people who are defending it seem to be doing so very badly. Forced into a corner, like having to say, "Oh, it's my faith" or something. And also because Dawkins, seems to be an objectionable fellow. He really sort of lays into people in a kind of schneid and sort of angry way. Where is that anger coming from, Professor? I'm not sure. It troubles me. But anyway, so while I think there's a lot to be said for evolution, I don't think that creationism is beyond the pale. There are ways of defending it, and well, here goes. If you look at creationism, it talks about creation by the use of speech. Let there be light. And then the other description of it is at the beginning of St. John's Gospel, and in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, I believe. And in both cases, there seems to be a representation of creation as being something that's done with words. Creation by the use of words, which is an interesting topic. How about let's have another look at another creation myth, and this is the one that happens to be in one I've read in Japan. It's the Japanese one. And this is the translation by Basil Hall Chamberlain. Now, when chaos had begun to condense, but force and form were not yet manifest, and there was nothing named, nothing done, who could know its shape? Okay, so this is nothing mind-blowing here, all you scientists that are sort of ripping into creationism, but to what extent do we need to have names? Do we need to be able to say things? Do we need to be able to have concepts in order for them to exist? Obviously, I wouldn't be able to say they exist if I didn't have names for them. And if I didn't have the word exist, what would it be to? I couldn't say that they exist. I couldn't say they. So, to what extent is creationism talking about a conceptual creationism, i.e., that what we see in these myths in the Bible and in the Japanese myth of the creation may be a representation of how concepts came into being. And without concepts, to what extent can we say that things are? Well, obviously we can't say that they are. To what extent were they? And that seems to be an important point. And that is my point. That perhaps, I think there's a good case to be argued that without the concepts, the things aren't there either. Well, we can't conceive of them. And if we can't conceive of them, they weren't, to a very large degree. Okay, does that mean that it's any contradiction with evolution? What can you say about that? Perhaps one might say that if the concepts came into existence then, i.e. only 10,000 years ago, perhaps what was being created at that stage was something which was older than 10,000 years old. I mean, could God, or whatever it is that created them, be so great as to be able to create something 10,000 years ago which is older than 10,000 years old? Obviously, if the concepts of time, or perhaps naming, or nouns, when were nouns invented? They were invented once. If nouns came into existence, say 10,000 years ago, and then people became able to conceive of the existence of things, then from that point onwards that they came into existence, one might say, in a certain sense, but at the same time they might be older than the point at which they came into existence. This seems to be contradictory, but do you see what I'm talking about? Why am I looking at the screen today? I was sort of thinking off there. Not the screen, the camera. Yeah. So, I think that there's a case to be made for defending creationism, as in what is represented in myths, such as the Bible, sorry to call it myth, all you Christians out there, as being a representation of the origins of conceptual conceptions, which in turn allowed humans to conceive of themselves and the world. And finally, this is another reason why I'm sensitive to this sensitive to what? Sorry. The reason why I'm persuaded in part by such mythology is that it seems to me that humans are extremely invested in their self-conceptions. To what extent are you the person that you really are, or the person that you conceive of yourself as being? Are you your words, or are you in some other sense? It seems to me that I am very much self-invested in my self-narrative, in the person that I describe myself to be, in my first-person pronouns and in my name, and that I may be distanced from some other more wishy-washy and fluid or subconscious otherness, which may also be me. But, as the Japanese mythology said, who can know its shape, that other me? The me I know is the one I can refer to. So, there's my quick defence of creationism. I can't turn off my camera.